Thank you for being here on a gorgeous day. I'll kick things off. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Mike Scragg, Salina City Manager, and have some opening remarks. Then I'll take an opportunity to turn it over to Mayor Longbine, Bill Longbine. He'll hand it off to Senator J.R. Clays. And then lastly, we'll bring Dave Murfin up on behalf of the development group, and then we'll turn some dirt. So thank you for being here. It's an exciting time. It's a long time coming. Today's groundbreaking is the culmination of a lot of work by a lot of people over a lot of years. And it's easy to focus just on this particular project, but there's a lot of backstory that goes with it. It has certainly been a journey. And my intention this morning is just really to take the opportunity to thank a lot of people that were instrumental in getting us here. As a lot of you well know, this housing project was necessitated by our recent successes in terms of economic development. In particular, Great Plains Kubota. We've got representatives here of Great Plains, and Jamie Hall and Linda Salem and others. Schwann's, the expansion of the Schwann's project created a housing need as well, and then One Vision, among other projects. And what I would tell you is, well before that, there was a lot of pre-planning going on as it related to housing. We were looking at our housing needs and conducting a housing study and updating it. A lot of economic development planning and preparation in terms of policy setting and identifying our tools in our toolbox and how we wanted to use them. And there was a lot of relationship building. Over the years, I think we as a community have really progressed in terms of how we conduct ourselves and the relationships we have locally, and then how we represent ourselves in Topeka. And all of that contributes to our ability to be here today. In particular, we have a group that we kind of call our Economic Development Community Partners. And you may not realize it, but representatives of those organizations meet on a regular basis and strategize and collaborate, and that's represented by the city, the Salina Community Economic Development Organization, Salina Airport Authority, Saline County, the Chamber of Commerce, K-State Salina, Kansas Wesleyan University, and USD 305. And a lot of that work's going on behind the scenes, but that lays a lot of the groundwork in terms of pre-planning and collaboration as we bring projects forward and strategize about incentives and how we might make something happen. So I'm going to make some particular thank yous, and I hesitate to do that because for fear of leaving someone out, and it's not by intentional slight by any means if I've overlooked anyone, but I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge kind of different projects and successes along the way and the people that contributed to those. So particular thank yous related to the Great Plains and Kubota and Schwann's project would be the SCEDO, the Economic Development Organization, and Mitch Robinson and his help with reaching out to those prospects and working through all the IRBs and all the other aspects of that project. Tim Rogers, which I believe he will be arriving shortly, and certainly want to give him credit for all that he does as part of the Airport Authority Industrial Area Development, but he also then extends well beyond that authority and does a lot of economic development on behalf of the community. He is instrumental in kind of that planning, that visioning, and collaboration. With respect to both Kubota and Schwann's, Senator Moran's office and Senator Moran were instrumental in securing EDA funding for the Schwann's project and Centennial Road. He's been with us lockstep for quite some time now. I mean, I remember being on the phone quarantined at home in the midst of COVID as we were trying to sort through the Schwann's project. And the EDA funding, Kansas Department of Transportation funding, and Department of Commerce funding laid the groundwork for the expansions that now necessitate the housing project that we're breaking ground on today. So I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Lieutenant Governor David Toland in particular. He couldn't be here today, but Department of Commerce staff are here. He has also been an instrumental partner all the way back to the beginning of the Schwann's project. He amazed me with his creativity, his willingness to problem solve, and his aggressiveness in terms of finding a solution and advocating on behalf of Salina. Particular thank yous related to the city's housing efforts in general. Lauren Driscoll and her staff for a number of years have, as I mentioned earlier, started with our pre-planning, our housing study, updating our housing study, dealing with developers that expressed interest playing that out, and some of those didn't pan out, but there was a lot of effort put in to get us where we are today, as well as working on the economic development tools, identification and policy implementation, development agreement negotiation, drafting and administration, and then all the land use elements. So, it's Lauren, it's Amanda Jarvis now, Margie Clem, Dean Andrew. There's just the entire breadth of the development services staff have been instrumental, and they've just cranked through the work. More specific to this housing project, once again, Lauren Driscoll and her staff have worked various scenarios over the years to work with different developers. Staff in my office, the Deputy City Manager Jacob Wood and the Assistant City Manager Sean Hennessy. Debbie Pack, our Finance Director, you may not realize how much work we put on her as we put all these packages together. And then Legal Counsel, Greg Bankson. Again, Lieutenant Governor Tolan was instrumental in us being able to put this together. As we were trying to identify, potential developers and try to find a path forward, Lieutenant Governor Tolan offered us the opportunity to be in the first community spotlight that the state was doing with developers in Kansas and beyond. And so Lauren and her staff, the Chamber of Commerce, Eric Brown and Renee Duxler and others stepped up to represent our community and get the word out. And that's really when things started to turn in terms of having some development interest. We played it out with a handful of developers, and then, as you well know, we ultimately secured $25 million of state funding for this particular project, and that's really what put us over the top. Specific to that funding, Senator Clays provided instrumental leadership, and he'll have an opportunity to address this in a little bit. The partnership of Senator Clays working with Lieutenant Governor Tolan, and then the support of our other state elected officials, Representative Stephen Howe, Clark Sanders, and Susan Kincannon, were instrumental in kind of leading us through that process, identifying the opportunity. JR called his shot when we first met him, and he delivered, I don't know how many months later, but our first conversation, I thought, he seems pretty confident. We'll see how this plays out, and it played out exactly like he said it was going to. So others involved with that, again, Tim Rogers was very instrumental. And another person that I don't think is here today that I wanted to call out is Mike King. Mike King just kind of stepped up and was a lobbyist on our behalf, not for hire, but just doing it as a community effort. And as we went through the Capitol, I was amazed at, he knew 50, 75% of the people he walked past. He was crucial at crunch time of being able to get conversations with the right people as we were trying to push this effort through. He literally would stick his head into an ongoing committee meeting, point out at an elected official and kind of, wave his finger at him, and they'd step out and we'd have a conversation in the hall. It was impressive, and he was instrumental in this effort. Other players in that, James Hall, all the way along, from the Kubota project from the outset to lobbying for that, to lobbying with the Lieutenant Governor to securing this funding. Renee Duxler and Eric Brown with the Chamber, Mitch Robinson with the EDO, Phil Smith, Haynes, County Administrator, and Hannah Bett, Assistant County Administrator, were active in our lobbying efforts as well. And then Eric Sexton has come on board as a community lobbyist and has been instrumental in helping us. Some of you have already heard this message, but the feedback we're getting is Salina is viewed as a community that's all rowing in the same direction. If we're pushing for something, you can have confidence that we're going to see it through and it's going to be successful. That's a result of a lot of effort leading up to that, but I think we're being told we have built a positive reputation in Topeka with the help of Senator Clays and our elected representatives and our collaborative efforts. As a little bit of a recap, the things that go unnoticed maybe as we're doing this groundbreaking are all that pre-planning, all that relationship building and collaboration, the lobbying, the political support, and the private investment. The private investment in this project, but the substantial private investment in the employers and the jobs that are being created that create the need for this project. So with that, a little bit of a recap of where we're headed next. I'll turn it over to Mayor Longbein for some remarks. He'll hand it off to Senator Clays. We'll then ask Dave Murphin on behalf of the developer to address us, and then we'll turn some dirt. So thank you for being here. It's a long time coming. It's the result of considerable amount of work by a countless number of people. So thank you.
Morning. Welcome to Magnolia Village. Through all the meetings and planning, I was thinking there last night, what do we call this? And well, it's on the sign right here, Magnolia Village. Like that name. But today marks a significant step in meeting Salina's housing challenges. Tremendous amount of work and effort has brought us to break ground on this first phase of apartment units. As Mike mentioned, many hours, months, years have went into coming to this point today, and my part was pretty small. I got to sign the plat for this development and a few other agreements and documents, but we are on our way to building apartments. This will be a major step toward the continued growth and progress of Salina. Apartment-style housing has been a need in Salina that will be met as ground is broken and construction begins. I would like to thank city staff and the Planning and Development Department who have worked tirelessly to meet the goals of the 2020 housing study. These apartments will fill an important need identified in that housing study. Thanks and gratitude goes to the Kansas Department of Commerce, Kansas Legislature, and of course Senator J.R. Clays for securing support for this housing project to move forward. We can all follow the construction progress as the buildings rise in the months to come. This is an exciting time for Salina and will present the opportunity to welcome new individuals and families to our community, something we can look forward to as we continue to grow and prosper. Thank you all, and we look forward to the future. It looks very bright. So, Senator Clays.
Well, I want to start out by reiterating all the thank yous. These kinds of things don't happen by accident. They really take the work of a lot of folks here in Salina, Saline County, working towards a shared vision and a common goal. And that's something that has not only resulted in what you're about to see here, but this is the catalyst for a lot of things to come. So my message to you today is that this is a huge project. It obviously took a lot of folks working towards it to make it happen, but there's a lot more to come. And you're going to hear a similar refrain as these groundbreakings occur across our city and across our county over the next couple of years, because there are many more projects to come that state support is involved in that we're receiving because, like the previous speaker said, we're working together. We've got a reputation. We have a community that really has decided that we're going to work out our differences here and then go after that shared vision together. What's going to happen next is a number of groundbreakings where you're going to hear a similar starting point for them too. And it's usually someone like Mike coming and saying, hey, let's go grab some coffee. And that is exactly how these things work. We have great relationships. We're working together, and we're going to continue to do that to make amazing things happen for Salina and Saline County. So my message to you is stay tuned. There's more to come.
It's better than I am. You're tough. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, thank you, JR. I mainly want to say this would not be happening without what JR was able to do in the state legislature, and I just want to thank him immensely. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm a lifelong Kansan. I've had the opportunity to turn dirt lots of times, but it's especially fun to be in Salina doing it here with such a great team. Couldn't have done this without the team of everybody involved in this thing. City manager, mayor did a good job of pointing everybody out. Rick Warner couldn't have done it without Rick. He's responsible. He's on our team, and Jeremy Hurt will be the project manager on this. But it's an $80 million project. We'll be with Bennington State Bank. We have the loan funded, secured, and we're going to be turning dirt practically immediately. We're very excited to do it, and thank you for the opportunity, and look forward to the support of the community. Thank you.